Hello everybody, I'm Kate Methuen-Ley and I'm going to do your presentation today on writing a business plan. I am going to put my video off just so you don't have to look at me the whole way through. So today's session really is giving you a bit of insight on why you should keep a live business plan in your business and what you should include really. Firstly, very quickly about me. Why me? I'm a mentor on the AGP program and a coach and advisor with startups and scale-up businesses and growing business as well. I did it myself when I had a joint venture partnership for a retail company where I grew it to 8 stores and over 5 million turnover in 4 years. So it's something that I've done myself and I know what I'm doing. It's not just theoretical based presentation today. So what we're going to cover today, let's go to the next slide. So I just wanted to talk about the value of writing the plan, the intentions for it, why we do it, and the content, what to remember and what to include. And I think business plans are generally typically associated with when you're starting a business, but I think it's as important, if not more important, to keep that business plan being written and up to date when you've established your business. And we'll touch on a few of the key differences between a startup business plan and one for initiating growth in a business. Just what to include and what to leave out. I think there's not much huge differences, but there are some differences. But I think it's just, like I said, everyone's sort of used to writing a business plan to start their business, but actually keeping a business plan alive and running can be different. So what is in a business plan, or what is a business plan really? A business plan, according to the dictionary, is a written document that describes in detail how a business defines its objectives and how it goes about achieving its goals. So that's quite high level. I think, like I said, we've all probably done one at some point in the life cycle of our business. Maybe when we were trying to open a bank account or register the business or taking out a loan or trying to raise finance. And we all hear about them when we're starting a business, and it's on all the curriculums that are out there. I'm very curious to know how many of you actually have a live business plan in your business right now. Or you might call it your annual plan or your I don't know, your structure plan or anything like that. You could call them lots of different things, but they're equally important to those established businesses. And it's basically a written roadmap for the business from an operational, financial, marketing, sales perspective. And the reason for it really is so you can have the headspace for delivering what's going to make your business successful. I think if you've got your objectives and your goals written down, it's far easier for you then to focus on actually delivering those, because you've worked through that in your mind and you've worked through it on paper to work out how you're going to achieve the objectives and goals. That's not to say it's set in stone, but at least it's a starting point. If you do have a business plan right now, when we finish today, have a real think about how up to date it is, how accurate a reflection it is of your business right now. If I were to pick up that business plan, if I wanted your business and picked it up right now, would I be able to understand what you are as a business and what you plan on achieving in the next year, 18 months? How flexible is it? So like I said, it's not always written in stone, but it's a starting point. You can't go anywhere if you haven't got a map, if that makes sense, even if you have to have a detour along the way because something has got in the way. If you've not got your map of where you need to go, how are you going to get there? And like I said, those are the kind of questions to have a think about after today's session. It's a little bit of a thought really. So this is a really interesting quote. We all know the quote, Rome wasn't built in a day, but actually it's a longer quote. It says, Rome wasn't built in a day, but they were laying bricks every hour. And I often hear things like, I don't need a business plan, I'm not a startup, I'm too small, I haven't got time, and no one's asked me for it, why do I need one? It's way down my list of priorities, it's just a piece of paper, it's going to sit on the shelf, all those things. This phrase kind of helps me to validate why it's a good reason to have a business plan. Now, John Hayward was a 16th century playwright. He came up with lots of different phrases like the more the merrier and better late than never, but this was probably his most famous one. And what he's implying here is that it's really easy to overestimate the importance of your vision of what the completed business, the completed empire, and underestimate the importance of building the systems, the foundations, and the bricks you need to build on to get there. So and I see it a lot with startups and people raising investment. We all know where they want to be. I'm going to exit by this point, and then we're going to have this many customers, we're going to turn over this much. But when I'm looking at these businesses, I'm interested in understanding the steps and how they're going to get there and what foundations they've got in place to make sure they can do that. And this is what this phrase is implying, really. I'm a huge advocate of getting business foundations in place, and I've worked with many businesses. Again, like I said, you say, "Oh, I haven't got time for that," or I don't want to be too corporate. I don't want to have. It'll slow me down. It'll be too much red tape. It's not. If you get the basics right and you get putting your foundations in place right, you can just get on with what you're good at doing. And so, in relation to today, by creating a business plan, you can guide those foundations in a way that reflects your ambitions, rather than having to have a knee-jerk approach to something that's happening. But you also then can make sure you focus on doing the right things, not just something. We can all be busy fools sometimes. And I often say to my clients, make sure you focus on the right thing and not just something. So from a business plan point of view, it's one of your key foundations to growing your business and sustaining your business. Let's have a quick chat about the benefits of a business plan. So there's benefits to you and to your business, lots of tangible reasons. So from a business point of view, it helps you grow faster. Studies, I've got a statistic here, studies prove that you grow 30% faster with a business plan, and therefore your business with a plan will perform better. It minimises your risks, because during the process of writing your plan, you've probably identified a lot of the risks that might come your way, or you've done the work you need to do to know what will happen if you take a risk. So, you've already thought that through, and you're not having to think on your feet. It creates focus and direction for the business. It helps you drown out all that noise around that's going on, the day-to-day noise, so-and-so's not turned up today, or that bill's not been paid, and things like that. It drowns all that out and focuses on what is actually going to grow your business. It can support access to loans, grant, finance, investment. Institutions will always want to see a well thought out and validated plan. So not only does it need to reflect who you are as a business and where you're going to go, but it has to be validated as well. So, really don't, if you're picking numbers because you don't have evidence to support those numbers, make sure that you've got a thought process as to why you've come up with that number. If you have got data in your business that you can use, make sure that's in there to help validate the reasons why you're choosing the tasks and the route you're choosing. From a personal point of view, from a personal perspective, I think it really helps you make decisions more efficiently, and I think it gives you a reality check on your business. You can get caught up in the day-to-day. You can get caught up in if you're in an investment round and talking to people about the future vision, but actually a business plan will help you really see where you are right now and can give you the confidence of how you're planning on running your business, because when you put together the business plan, you've spent time researching and analysing your business and what it is now and where it needs to be. It gives you a playbook or an operating guide. So it helps you to kind of note down where you're going to go, but remember to do things, helps you remember to do things, and leaves your brain power to work on what will drive the business, not trying to remember what you said you were going to do next. It gives you agility to be proactive with challenges and opportunities. So like I said, I have heard in the past people saying to me, well, it's going to slow me down, or it's too corporate, or it's too much red tape. I don't think it is at all. They aren't rigid and unchangeable, and there will be things that happen that you can't predict. But if you've got a plan in place, it's easier to interrogate what you've got in place and amend it if you've got an unexpected challenge or opportunity that it would be had you not thought that process through already. It gives you the opportunity of thinking of new ideas. So while you're putting your business plan together, it actually, while you're doing your research for the plan, you're often giving yourself the right stimulus to think creatively. When I had my business, myself and my business partner would go off probably once every 6 months, take ourselves completely out of the business for the day and go. We'd actually used to go to the Celtic Manor. We'd sit in the same chair in the cafe, in the bar every time, and we'd drink coffee and we'd chat and we'd take our minds away from that day-to-day business and really think about where we were going to go. And often we would be chatting about nothing to start with, and all of a sudden some of our best ideas would come out of that because we were taking ourselves out of the business and giving ourselves the right stimulus to think creatively. It helps you create an action plan. It makes it much clearer to identify what works for you and your business and what doesn't, because you've done your research on how the business is going. You know what resources you've got in place and so then you can help you to then work out what actions you need to take to meet the objectives you want to meet. And more important, and the last one, which was one we always used to talk about in my business, was if you fall down a drain, or actually we used to say if you got hit by a bus, but let's be a bit more polite about it. It means that someone else can come and support you, because all they need to know is in one place. So if for whatever reason a critical person in your business can't continue or needs to take some time off, if you've got it written down, you know that somebody can come in and confidently take that on board and keep your business ticking over for you. So those are all the kind of benefits personally and for the business. So how do you do it? So we know it's a good thing for a lot of reasons. So my first advice would be just do it. Like I said, we're often prone to putting it on hold. Don't wait until you have to because you need it for finance. I think the busier you are, the more important it is to actually plan. Because I guess you could be in a position where you're constantly having to put out fires and paying a lot of attention to those fires. You're not really allowing yourself to work on the business. You're working in it all the time. So just do it. Put that time in your diary. Take yourself out of the business and spend time on the business rather than in it. Keep it simple. So that's something else I often see. I get 30-40 page business plans. I don't want to see a 34 page business plan. It's not an MBA dissertation, and I think that can be what can be off-putting sometimes, is that people think it has to be really long-winded. The point, I think point is really, really important. It can just be a few pages of bullet point lists, tables and essential projections, particularly if it's an internal document. So I've just said, if you fall down a drain, then you need to have something in place. It doesn't have to be War and Peace. It can just be, we're aiming to these goals, we're aiming to these objectives. This is what we intend to have done by this date. Keep it simple. Keep it specific. So don't have vague goals like we want to be the best, or we want to be world leading. Those aren't goals, they're visions. You need to have specific goals. So we want to be turning over X amount by X date, or we want to have X amount of customers by X date, or we want to have a website relaunched by the 1st of January. Make it very specific. We all know about SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and on time. Think about that when it comes to your business plan. Use specific dates, note down specific management responsibilities, specific budgets and milestones. Be focused. It's very easy to put in, particularly when you get excited about all the opportunities you've got for a business, it's very easy to put in 10, 11, 12 priorities. They're not a priority if there's more than 3 or 4. It cannot be a priority if it's more than 3 or 4. Keep those priorities focused and to a minimum. Be realistic in what you can achieve and what those priorities will achieve for the business. Because the more you have on the list, the less importance each one of them is going to have, the less amount of your time it's going to have. So, really think about what it is that's going to deliver your business objectives and make those your priorities. Not necessarily relevant to a business plan in terms of noting it down, but keep an eye on your cash flow. Cash is king, we all know that. But I think having that business plan will allow you to really monitor where you're at with your cash flow and what you need to do to deliver your objectives. That's part of what you need to do when you're interrogating the numbers for your business plan, is really think about where your cash is coming from and where it's going, and when you need it to come in for you to be able to achieve the different tasks, projects, objectives you want to achieve. Be agile. So the business plan isn't set in stone, like I said earlier. Put time in to regularly review it and revise it. That could be 2 hours once a quarter. It could be half a day once a month, whatever you feel is necessary. But make sure you're reviewing it and revising it. It's kind of like a dashboard to show you those kind of connections and interdependencies by different parts of your business. And it allows you to make those right changes quite quickly and fast if you need to. But if you're not monitoring it and you're not measuring it, which we'll talk about measuring it later, if you're not monitoring it and keeping an eye on whether you're up to date, firstly, you can't react if you need to, and secondly, you're not giving yourself a pat on the back for a job well done. So make sure you keep reviewing it and make it flexible enough that it allows you to keep your business agile. And I'll say it again, just do it, don't put it off, just do it. So next page here, I'm just going to quick drink is I wanted to kind of have a look at what the difference is between a startup business plan and a growth business plan, and what the difference is for the plans and intentions really. So like I said earlier, chances are you had a plan when you started out, but if you're growing your business or pivoting your business, or you're pretty well established, then your plan is likely to be, or your focus of your plan is likely to be slightly different, which means the approach to the content will be slightly different. So with in terms of growth intent, a startup is likely to be rapid growth. That's just how it is. You're growing, you've got probably very few staff, you're trying to gain customers. Whereas in an established business, it's probably about sustaining growth or scaling your business, so taking it from one level to the next. There's a big difference between having, for me anyway, there was a big difference between having 1 store and 5 stores, but not a huge difference between having 5 and 8. So there is it depends where you're at in terms of scaling. Generally, the foundations in a scaling business or in an established business, the foundations are in place. So the changes and the challenges don't feel as rapid as they might do in a startup business. Your goals and objectives as a startup is to disrupt the market, really, to bring people to you to use your products or your services. It's about, whereas when you get to an established business, it's more about opportunities and maybe opening up new revenue streams or markets, or growing the ones that you are already in, and will be about managing costs as well once you're established. So new revenue streams, managing costs. So it's much more about being efficient and effective. The audience for a startup business plan, who's going to be reading it or using it. And for a startup, it's generally about raising finance or getting your bank account sorted, or establishing contracts with potential customers. Whereas in an established business, it might be about attracting talent, or maybe you want a cash injection, so you need to go back to an institution to get some funding. But it's probably mostly an internal document that is that playbook or that manual for your year ahead for your internal teams. The risk for startup is obviously very high, but the risk in an established business is probably more about sustainability. Operations wise, in a startup, you've probably not even designed your processes, or how you're going to execute your business, or how you're going to deliver your business. The teams are smaller. You're probably managing rapid change, what your business looks like today versus what it looked like in 6 weeks' time even can be very different. Once you get to an established business, it's much more about successful execution of your plan and creating efficiency and effectiveness around that. You know, making sure that you've got the right teams in place, growing the teams, making sure that, you know, all your contracts are the way you want them to be. It's about being established, really. And then data. There's a huge difference here between what you've got in a startup and an established business. Most of startup data is based on assumptions. There'll be very little data, whereas in an established business, you've probably got historical data and experience, and you're in a much better position to plan based on experience and data than you are as a startup. So what are we actually including? And actually at the end of this session, I will send over to Lisa. I've got like a précis of particularly this section that if Lisa can send it out to you, that will, so you don't have to make loads of notes now, but yeah, I've got some information that I can share with you. There are lots and lots and lots of templates out there to how to write a business plan, and you could get really bogged down in which is the right one. But the basics are pretty much the same, whatever your business stage is and whatever kind of business you've got. It basically should aim to give a good outline of your company, your business strategy, and your action plan. Like I said, it could just be bullet points, but you know, it's telling you what your business is, where you want it to go, and how you're going to get there. So before you start writing it, be clear about who your audience is. Is it internal or is it external? That will probably then determine how much information and needs to go in there and how much detail it needs to go in there. Then have a think about what's the objective. Is it for annual planning? The objective of the plan, is it for annual planning, or are you planning on scaling or raising investment, or are you changing direction? There might be slight nuances depending on what you're doing with and what the document is for. And don't forget to plan in your review points. So when you're going to check how you're getting on versus the plan, or check that the plan still meets the business needs. And actually sitting down to write the plan can be quite daunting, particularly if you've not got one, or the one you've got is old and you need to just start from scratch again. And I'm pretty sure we all know what a SWOT analysis is. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And actually, it will help you work out some of the places to explore first. It might seem a bit old school or a bit basic, but it's simple. And if you keep it simple, you don't over-engineer it, it will absolutely work for this exercise. I've seen some SWOT analysis that are pages and pages long. I am talking bullet points here. So the strengths, you know, describe what you as a business are really good at. Your weaknesses, those are the things that are stopping your business from performing at its optimum level. It's those things that really, you know, put a spanner in the wheel kind of thing. Opportunities, these are the favourable external factors that could improve performance, such as possible new customers, possible new markets, possible new products. What are those potential opportunities you've got? And the threats, so these are factors that can harm your business, whether it's a new competitor, road closures. We had that once with my stores, where we had a store that was flying and the road was closed outside the store. It went off a cliff. You know, what are the kind of threats? If you know something like that's coming around the corner, note it down. Don't try and be over theoretical with those threats. You know, be realistic about them, because otherwise you could be here all day thinking of things that could be threats to the business. Identifying the SWOT, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, leads to really fact-based analysis, I think, and it can help you get those fresh perspectives and new ideas as you're going through that process, because you're assessing your performance, your competitions, your risk, and it really helps you guide you towards those strategies that will like to be more successful, and hopefully guide you away from those that haven't worked in the past. So the first one here I've got on here is executive summary. I always do this last, and it's a description of the business, vision, mission, key objectives and targets. It's 2 or 3 sentences. I do it last because it helps me just kind of tie up everything that's been written in the document. The business description, so what it is you do. This is where you put your strengths and weaknesses. You might outline your product and services here. Your operational structure, so how you do it. if for a retail business, you might be omni-channel, so you might be selling online and in store. You might be doing click and collect and selling to wholesale. So, you know, this is just a nice little structure diagram of how you are operating your business. And then you also put in your business model and pricing structure. Again, probably only a page, maximum maybe 2. Competitor and market analysis. So this is where you talk about your competitors and those opportunities and threats that they might be giving you, and also the market and what the market's doing. Again, a couple of paragraphs maximum if you need to. Market strategies. So this isn't marketing strategies, this is market strategies. So this will be your sales channels. So identifying the current ones and the future ones where there's opportunities. So you've talked about them in your description, but this is like actually sort of saying, so you might have said in your description, we sell online and wholesale, blah, blah, blah. But in here, you'll say we sell wholesale via these channels, we sell online, and you might also break down what percentage of sales go through each channel, which channels you see are growing, which ones you see are declining. And then you would also put your marketing plan in here as well. So, you know, what you intend to do to help promote your business. Number 5, the development plan. So how are you going to change or improve what you currently do? So you've just had 4 points of talking about where you're at and where you want to be. Now this is how you're going to get there. So what products and services are you going to develop if you need to, or which ones are you going to amend, or which ones are you going to focus on? Operations management. So what processes, teams, structures do you need in place to be able to deliver where you want to be? And people and places. So, you know, do you need, if you've got shops, do you need to add more shops? If you've got warehouses, do you need more warehouse space? Do you need a new office space? Or do you need to remove your office space? What people do you need? Do you need to recruit anyone new in? Do you need to restructure your teams? And then the financial analysis. This is where you might have your sales targets, your budget targets, your margins, all those kind of things that basically, you know, help you manage your cash flow. So, and it also can help you manage your, if you're a manufacturer, you know, your manufacturing, your raw goods purchasing, all those things too. So those are all the high level titles and a bit of an example of what needs to go underneath. How should you measure your business plan performance? So like I said, I believe, you know, measuring it is really, really important, and not leaving it to gather dust on a shelf. And all too often we either don't measure things because it's not in our nature to, we're not that way inclined. You know, I started life as a marketeer. I certainly wasn't an analytical marketeer to start with, but I was taught how to be an analytical marketeer, and then I realized actually my marketing activities were much more effective if I was being much more analytical when I was planning them. So, you know, it wasn't necessarily in my nature to be that person. But we all need to have some level of analysis when we're at in a leadership role, and we all need to measure things, and let's not shy away from them. If you're nervous about them, please, you know, get in touch and find out if you can get some support on that, because I think it's so important. The other thing that can happen is we measure the wrong things, either because we don't know what to measure or because we've always measured them. Or we've always measured, but also we're going to keep measuring it, or we've always measured this criteria, so we're going to continue measuring it. Your metrics should transform as your business transforms, so you might need to change them as you go along. Choose your metrics carefully. So they will be different depending on your type of business and your life stage of your business. Make sure you list them in your business plan, so that everybody knows what we're measuring along the way. And they could be milestones. It doesn't have to just be numbers. It could be the milestones of when you're going to complete something by. It could be the task that you need completing. So like I said, launch a new website or hire a sales director or whatever it is. And then it could be the more traditional ones like sales revenue, profit margin. Also, when you kind of get into online businesses, particularly, you're looking at customer lifetime value and things like that as well. Choosing the right ones can be difficult, but it's important to decide carefully, because the metrics will be then where your business and your teams focus their effort. And if you've picked the wrong metrics, everybody could be striving towards a certain metric that actually is not driving the business, but they're doing it because that's on their KPI list for the year. So just be really careful when you're choosing them. Tie your metrics to your strategic objectives. So like I said, some metrics will be financial, or like profit, revenue and cash flow, but you might want to track the marketing or sales goals, or it might be operational efficiency, value creation index. It could be safety, hours lost to injury, environmental impact, energy use. Everybody needs to be looking at their energy use right now. And so, whatever your strategic objective is, make sure that metric that you're using to measure it is relevant to that objective and relevant to your business. They should be clearly tied to your strategic objectives. And actually, sometimes I've seen people get to this point where they're trying to work out what their metrics are and then realize maybe their objectives are wrong, and have kind of circled back and reviewed their objectives. At the end of the day, your objectives and those metrics will be what's guiding your employees towards the actions and motivating the employees towards the actions you want them to take. So they need to be right. Keep it simple. Don't overload your team with too many KPIs to track. You could spend a lot of time filling out KPI data and actually not be achieving anything. So make sure that they're really, really focused. Probably no more than 4 per, I say department. I know that we've got small businesses on this course, so you might not have departments, but 4 per discipline, I guess. 4 for marketing, 3 for sales, 4 for operations, whatever they are. But try not to have too many, because otherwise you'll spend your whole life just filling out a dashboard. And if you have got people who are doing it for you, make sure you train them on how to input the data correctly and choose the right data, because you don't want to be thinking you're measuring one thing and actually measuring something else, because it could jeopardize your overall strategic plan. Maintain the data though. Make sure you keep it up to date. There's nothing worse than having a data that by the time you fill it in and to analyze it, it's 3 months out of date, because probably by then it's too late to actually do anything about what the data tells you. So make sure that the latest data, it's always the latest data that's reported, and it's reported promptly. And that goes back to why you should keep it simple as well, because you don't want to be spending hours every week filling in data. This data could act as an early warning system for any problems in the business. So, keep on top of it and keep on top of the right things and measuring the right things when you need to. And this is why I've got dashboards next, because using dashboards is really an excellent tool for tracking your KPIs. If you've followed the kind of process and you've got carefully chosen metrics and you've only got a few, then having them on a dashboard, it will make it really easy for you to see what's performing and what isn't. So, try and something we used to actually do in our business was anything that we were measuring at a head office level and we were monitoring, we would then make sure that the businesses at store level had that in their store to look at as well. So we kept it simple so that any team member could understand that piece of data, but we also kept it relevant and up to date. So they knew what we were measuring, that they could measure it themselves and they could perform against those objectives. So in conclusion, I think, like I've said a few times, just do it. Don't put it off. It can easily fall to the bottom of your to-do list when you're busy working in the business. Like I say, make sure you give yourself some time to work on the business and not just in it. Keep it simple, specific and focused. It's not an MBA dissertation. It's it's a tool for you to run your business. Be agile, review it and measure it regularly and consistently, because then you can work on any problems that may occur, or you can actually, if you're going faster than you expected, you can revise your business plan to help you go even faster. Again, just in case you've forgotten, just do it. At the end of the day, it's your plan and all the things in your head written down in one place so that you can keep it true and relevant, and make sure you give your business the service it deserves, as it were. Knowing your long-term goals and how you'll achieve them just helps you take that step towards them in your everyday running of the business. So it is such an important document for you and your business. I just, hopefully you've had some good thoughts from today, and if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
I've got one, as you say, daunting, cracking word. I've got everything together. It's all piled up about that high. I reckon I can get the words down to the way you describe it and keep that simple, and I feel confident about the words. Every time I look at the numbers, I just go, what if, but then it's scenario A, scenario B, scenario C. That's the bit I find, that's the bag of eels. I can't understand how I'm going to pin that down into, I can see myself in Dragon's Den going, yep, that's it. And I go, yeah, but what if? I go, oh, Christ, I'm at it.
I mean, you have to be aware of all those potential threats and opportunities that are around you. I think, it's about being realistic and putting down on paper what you genuinely think your business can do if everything aligns nicely. You've got to have a view on what will happen if the sales don't come in here, or if they go up there. You have to have a view on that. But I think actually putting your view down on paper first is the most important thing, and maybe getting someone to look at it with you. It's quite hard to, without knowing your business and without knowing those scenarios that you're talking about, it's quite hard for me to say. But I think, at the end of the day, we can't know what's going to happen, so let's have a considered idea of what is going to happen.
It's going to be a snapshot, isn't it?
A snapshot.
It's going to be a snapshot of all the thinking.
The fact that you thought about either side is really great, that you've already done that, because not everyone does that.
But then if I want investment, I want a snapshot where the numbers have got lots of noughts. If I want to be, greater advice, because I want someone to guide me through building blocks, I'm going to need to promise to under-deliver almost, I guess. Yeah. So again, it just feels like I've got to write different number sides to the business plan.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that, but they don't have to be a million scenarios. I think a best case scenario, a worst case scenario, and what's probably going to happen are the three you need. And absolutely, from an investment point of view, I sit in on a lot of investment meetings, and yes, I would say that the investors are going to look at, particularly they'll be interested in interrogating what if it doesn't work. So having that thought, but again, to keep it simple, don't overthink it. And as the fact that you've thought about the two extremes is important, and good, and investors will like that. Are you going to an investment round coming up? Or?
Probably the next couple of months, yes.
Oh, fab. Exciting. But yeah, daunting as well. So yeah, your version of the business plan will be slightly more detailed, and absolutely you will get interrogated a lot on the numbers. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, I would suggest trying to get some support on that, because you can kind of get very caught up in the numbers and forget about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Hope that helps. Welcome.
Any other questions? I think we've a few about to drop off. We've got some nice comments. Very good overview on there now, and really useful. I think some have had to rush off either to another meeting or to get some lunch. But I guess, Kate, that if anyone thinks of anything later on, can they contact you or come
Yeah,
back?
absolutely. I'm more than happy. Kate@kateml.com, so it's very easy. And I will, Lisa, I will share with you the overview document because I know it's a lot to take in such a short period of time. So I will share that later today.
I'll hold that to ransom. They've got to sign their AG3s before I send John, while you're on there, John, can I just ask you if you would just directly message me your email address, please, so that I've got the contact for you. So I've got Owen's at the moment, but nothing for you. So if you just pop that on there for me, that would be great.
Grand stuff.
Yeah. If anyone thinks of anything that you wished you'd have asked on this webinar, then just either drop us an email at the AGP team or to Kate there, and she can answer those for you. I think Kate will be on at some future webinars with us. So keep an eye out for all the ones. I know that they're pushing them through fast and furious at the moment, so keep an eye on those for us. Any questions following on, please just get back to us and let us know. But on that note, thanks, Kate, for giving up your time today. Thanks, everyone, for joining us and giving up your time as well. So you can all either go off and grab yourself a coffee or a sandwich before your next one, or just whatever it is you're doing for the afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. Good afternoon. Bye. Bye.
Cheers. Thank you.